Yeah, I welcome you for today's session as we continue to engage on becoming better leaders in the Masterclass, Global Leadership Network Masterclass. So far, we've been doing quite well and we are grateful for your commitment, and we are looking forward for another very exciting session today. So just a quick check. Let me know if you can hear me well, and also if you can see my screen. Probably I can start with Mr. Mwangi. Mr. Mwangi.
Good evening, leaders.
Good evening.
I can hear you. I can see your screen.
Good. Thank you so much, Mr. Mwangi. Bwana Sava, I can see you.
Good evening, all leaders. I can see all of you. Mwalimu, you're looking good, smart, and excited. I'm also excited to see you. I'm happy to be back in the meeting.
Thank you.
Ready
so
for
much.
the learning.
Asante sana, karibu. Karibu sana. Yeah, Mary Joanne, you saying I can hear you well and also see the screen. So we are here and we're grateful. We're looking forward to engaging in 2 sessions tonight. And because of time, we may not, I think, wait for long. We want to maximize the opportunity that we have today. So the others will catch up and also catch up through the recording as we move on. So let's just believe together and pray as we start. Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the opportunity as we continue to learn, as we continue to share our experiences on issues of leadership. It's our prayer that you will continue speaking to us, and you will continue, Lord, equipping us both in skills, in knowledge, and more importantly, in the spirit of leadership, our attitude, the mindset, and also the values that exemplify good leadership, that reflect the life of our Lord Jesus Christ. This evening, we are praying that, Lord, as we continue to discuss, may you impact and imprint this knowledge in our hearts, so that, Lord, there will be impact and also we'll be able to improve in terms of offering better leadership. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. So we continue with our sessions, Becoming Global Leaders. And our thinking is think global, lead local, transform the world. And a better leader is a better life, which has always been our thinking, our philosophy, that we can only improve our life by improving our leadership qualities. And a better family also is a product of better leadership, as well as the community, the nation, and the world at large. So as we continue with these sessions, this is something that we need to continue re-echoing every time, so that we remain focused based on these guiding fundamental concepts of this Global Leadership Masterclass. So last week we engaged on 2 sessions. I hope Mary Joanne, you are able probably to catch up through the YouTube. We missed you, but I'm sure you might have had an opportunity to catch up. So we discussed the 2 lessons that we tackled last time, the issue of the core 4 leadership skills and also the leadership development model. So as we continue, we'll be able to probably take a recap on that, just to help us better appreciate the discussions. And also, as we concluded, I indicated I will share a link so that you can follow through and undertake a personality test. First, to identify which personality group you belong to from the test, and 2, also to look at the analysis and check if it really concurs with what you believe about yourself and also probably with what also maybe the feedback that you're able to get from the inner circle. So I may want just to spend a few minutes just to probably listen from your side. Were you able to undertake the personality test, and how are the results? Just in summary, and also if the results concurs with what you believe about yourself, and also if it concurs with the feedback that you receive from your inner circles. So I'll maybe want to give Mr. Asava the opportunity first, just to highlight on this issue as we engage further. So Mr. Asava, first, if you undertook the test and the results, and if they concurs.
First of all, I want to apologize. I
Yeah.
was not able to do the personality test.
Mhm.
So let me reserve my my undertaking to do my test, my response to this in the next class.
Okay.
Or the next meeting we have. I would like to take time to do that test of myself, and then I can share in the next class.
Okay.
So forgive me for that. I was not able, but I commit myself to do it this week.
Yeah, thank you. I'll post the link again. It's still there on WhatsApp, but I can share just to make it more accessible. Mary Joanne, were you able to undertake the test? And maybe if you are able, the key findings from the results, you can share also.
Yes, I was able.
Mhm.
And my personality was a defender, which I concur, because I find myself being more of a conservative person. So being told a defender personality, that means that I do not open up more to people, and I'm mainly cautious about what kind of information I allow people to get out from me. So yes, I concur with my personality test.
Wow. Yeah, thank you. Basically, in level 1, that is very important. Just and also, if you look at the summaries, because it gives you a very comprehensive summary, you're able to pick a few other characteristics of your personality test, and some might be new knowledge. It might be something that you really didn't know in terms of just an in-depth understanding of yourself. So it might be an eye-opener on some of the issues that might be new in terms of your personality test. So thank you, Mary Joanne, for sharing. We also have Teacher Justus. Teacher Justus normally attends Thursday class, but last Thursday he was not able to attend, so he's joining us for the Saturday class. So Mwalimu Justus, welcome on board. We are looking at personality test. There's a link that I shared. You can indicate if you managed to undertake the personality test and what were the results. Yeah, welcome, Teacher Justus. If you can hear me, probably you can unmute and just share if you are able to do it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I am on board, although from the link I was not able to clearly check through and go through the personalities, but this one seems to be a lesson we have ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I will really cherish through, and I really thank you for allowing me to attend.
Yeah, thank you so much, Teacher Justus. So, yeah, let's explore. Let's take the challenge, take the test, and then we look at what comes out. So, allow me to move on. We'll continue to engage as we continue with the session today. After this session, we'll break out briefly just to catch up on what is happening on our side, just share our experiences, and also discuss the subject that we're going to look at today. As also we look at the book review, what came out of the book review, just our summary. So we are looking at lesson 5. Lesson 5, if you are following through the manual, you can check the manual. So the types of learning loops. There are different learning loops. There's a different way we look at how we learn. So these learning loops will be like an eye-opener in terms of the 3 main categories of learning loops. And as I explain them, we'll be able to appreciate the learning loops better, and also evaluate ourselves critically, looking at where do we belong. And to help us in this, let me start by sharing this story, a story about 3 bricklayers. So just to help us appreciate the how we look at things, how we reflect on what we're doing in terms of probably the power of vision and the power of purpose, and also how we view the tasks, how we view our undertakings. So we look from these 3 bricklayers, we'll get 3 perspectives. And these were they were builders, so they were laying bricks, and someone just posed some question to each of them. So the first bricklayer was asked what he was doing or what she was doing, and the reply was, "I'm a bricklayer. I am working hard laying bricks to feed my family." So this was how he interpreted whatever he was doing. And as you can see, the focus was, I am working to be able to feed my family. So the second person replied that I'm a builder. I am building a wall. So the second person didn't see the element of feeding the family. Maybe it was there, but that didn't come out as in the answer as the core in terms of the perspective of what this bricklayer was undertaking. And then the third one, the third bricklayer. So he said, I am a cathedral builder. I am building a great cathedral to the Almighty. So from the 3, I'm sure we are able to pick out a few lessons. One, in terms of who was the most motivated. 2, in terms of who probably was self-driven. And 3, probably also in terms of what they all visualized based on their description. So I just want you to take a minute just to think about this story and maybe share what comes out very clear, and maybe some of the lessons that you're able to pick in terms of leadership and also in terms of perspectives. So this one you can post on the chat. I'll look through and then we'll be able to discuss as we continue. And then maybe at the end, I'll also allow 1 or 2 people just to unmute and just share their experience. But for now, you can share on the chat in terms of the motivation, in terms of any other lesson that you can pick from this story of the 3 bricklayers. I also remind you of this story, JFK and the janitor. We talked about this, the importance of understanding the why that is behind what we do. Even the why that we are engaging in this discussion, in this kind of a forum. What is the why behind what we are doing? The why behind why you joined the class. So this story, we have talked about this, but I still talk about it. When the president asked the cleaner what he was doing, the cleaner said, I'm helping put a man on the moon. And purely we could see that this person understood the vision and his part and how the purpose behind that. So these are the questions we also try to ask ourselves. If I'm in business, if I'm employed, if I'm whatever role I'm working, I just try to look at what is the bigger picture behind this. And the 3 learning loops that we're going to look at, we can see these elements coming in. Maybe this is also part of the reflection. We'll try and look at which category of learning loop did these people belong to. the 3 bricklayers, and also the janitor. We'll be able to explore that either as a discussion or a personal reflection. So in terms of the learning loops, always this has been our continual belief that leaders are perpetual learner, which means they are continuous learners. And that's how you remain healthy as a leader, because you allow probably fresh knowledge to come in, and also you're able to pour out fresh knowledge to the people that you are leading in. That's how even a plant remains healthy, because they are in that conducive environment that allows them to be able to tap in and also to be able to produce. So these learning loops were discussed at a Federal Health Futures Leadership Summit. The theme was learning for transformational change. That happened in 2012 at Washington, D.C. Metro region. So the 3 learning loops are as outlined there. The single learning loop, which focuses on following the rules, or learning to follow the rules, learning to take instructions. And one word for that category of learning loop is what we refer to as what. What am I supposed to learn? And then you're able to take it up. So it's more of one directional learning. So you're looking at what am I supposed to do, and then you just take it without much details and much explanation and much inquiries into probably the instructions, the rules, or the roles. But for the double loop learning, it's about changing the rules. So here, the one word for double loop learning is how. So for a double loop leader, the question will always be how. How do I undertake this? How does this affect the organization? How will this better the organization? So that is a key question for a leader that thinks double loop learning or double loop thinking. For triple loop learning is about learning how to learn. Yeah, learning how to learn. And the key word here is why. This is a leader that will always ask why so many times. If we engage people on an activity, we'll always want to know what is the why behind this activity. So we will look at the single loop learning. The single word there is what am I supposed to do? For double loop is how am I supposed to do it? Triple loop learning is why am I undertaking it? Undertaking the role or undertaking the activity. So I'll just break them briefly into more details just to help us appreciate. Single loop learning, we are saying doing things better without necessarily examining or challenging the beliefs and assumptions behind that. So here you are focusing on, am I doing things right? And without much examination or just challenging, why are we doing these things in this kind of a setup, or how can we do this, or can we engage in a better way? So it's what, and then you undertake. So this is a language for single loop leader. Are we doing things right? That's the kind of question these leaders raise, or the discussions around such kind of leaders. So here is what to do. And then these are the procedures or rules. So it's more of instruction-based. It's more of one directional based. And it doesn't really create a lot of room to be able to engage more and also probably examine or challenge the rules or the instructions or the task. For the double loop, we are saying we change the way we make decisions and also deepen understanding of our assumptions. So this is more inquisitive. This is more of, yes, I know what I'm supposed to do, but again, how am I supposed to undertake this? What is the best approach to undertake this task? What is the best approach to offer this kind of a leadership? So the single word is how, and the questions for such a leader, they range from, are we doing the right things? Here is how this should work. And again, these are the insight and pattern. So we're able to mine from the processes. We're able to look behind the what and look at what are the patterns that are coming out from the undertakings. For the triple loop learning, if we look at the relationship between organizational structure and behavior, it's fundamentally changed because the organization learns how to learn. So the key word here is learning how to learn. We're able to look at our culture, look at our values, look at our principles, and see what are we learning from our undertakings. So this leader is more onto why and how and what, combining this, but the climax is on why are we doing things in this particular way, and why can't we change? Why can't we reformat? Why can't we adjust? So the language for such a leader is how do we decide what is right? Not just doing things right, but how do we decide what is right? Here is why we want to be doing this. So the question, the key word here is why. And these are the principles. These are the underlying values. These are the guiding basic fundamentals that are helping us to be able to undertake process or procedures or rules in this particular kind of a format. So if you look at this, you will see a triple loop leader is much grounded in terms of long-term view as we explore more. So there's a single word again behind each of these categories. So for the triple loop learning is transformational, focuses on the context, focuses on transforming, focuses on probably even they can overhaul a system that is working just to be able to make it work in a better way. So it's transformational. That's another single word. Double loop learning is reframing, focuses on frames, restructuring, probably gradual improvement, adjusting, not really an overhaul, not transformational, but how do we enhance whatever we are doing. For the single loop learning is reactionary. So it focuses on actions. Something has happened and we have to respond. So in our setup, I think we might have we see this kind of issues arising where we wait, where there are setups where leaders probably wait and then you react, but there are those who are able to be proactive, to be able to take actions even before the incidents manifest. So these learning loops and the knowledge behind this is important when it comes to issues of problem solving. And I'll just give two examples of problem solving techniques just to help us appreciate the learning loops and how we can be able to apply them. So one of the problem solving technique is what we call cause and effect. Cause and effect. Behind every effect, there is a cause. So behind a cause, there is an effect. And it's also referred to as fishbone or Ishikawa problem-solving technique. And looking at the diagram there, you will see there is a fishbone. The mouth is where we have a problem. It can be a problem, it can be an opportunity, it can be even awareness, your own self-awareness. It can be applied in many other scenarios. So in case of a problem, so we look at the problem, and then we look at the cause one and also the sub-causes. Then cause two and the sub-causes. Let me give you an example. Someone came late for work. Someone came late for work. So what are the possible causes? Number one, we are saying probably the person, it might be people related, including the person themselves, or the person, he or herself. It might be machine-based, it can be environment, can be method, and many other causes. Those are the main causes. And then under the sub-causes, probably, let's say, people. If the problem is related to people, maybe the children can be related to children. Maybe a child got sick, or the person was dropping children at school, or anything related to children. So that's the first cause. Or maybe the person was just tired. So from the people, we are able to get now into more details of the problem. If it is environment-based, maybe it was raining, maybe there was traffic jam. So you see, we are getting into issues that we will not have gotten if we had not unpacked the problem. So we would have concluded the person came late for work, maybe because of one cause, and maybe it's the main cause. But under that one cause, there are so many other causes. So this will help us to get to the root cause. What was the root cause of this person coming back to work? So think of any other problem that you can explore using this, and just undertake your own activity and try to look at the possible causes. And this helps us so that we don't probably punish someone who is supposed even to be helped, because they came to work late. But if we don't get into the real issue, we might think the person maybe is lazy, as the indication we can see from the sub causes. But in really sense, there is something that was much deeper than just looking at one cause and probably assuming. The second method is the 5 whys. The 5 whys. So ask why 5 times. Yeah, so you define the problem, then you ask why it is happening the first time, why is happening the second time, like why is that again, until we get to the root cause. Ask why 5 times, even in the family setup. Maybe a child has done something, and this can help us to be able to get to the root cause. Why did this child do whatever she or he did? Let me give you an example. Someone ran through a red light. So why did the person do that? One, we are saying the person was late for work. Again, why? The person woke up late. Again, why? The third time, the alarm clock broke. Why? Again, we say the person didn't check it if it was working last night. Finally, we're asking again why, and we're saying the person forgot to check last night. So many other causes can be related to this. So think about also this in terms of what a problem, or what kind of a problem probably you have faced at your leadership, or even at a family level, or even at a personal level, and then try to ask these whys 5 times and see what is coming out. What are you able to pick out from as a root cause of that particular challenge? So finally, based on the learning loops, we can classify the leaders or levels of leadership or levels of leaders. We have the leaders, we refer to them as what leaders, and then we have the how leaders, and then the why leaders. Yeah, so what leaders, how leaders, and why leaders. So the what leaders, they are more of reactionary. They are more of reforming, they are task-driven. They focus on doing things right, not necessarily what is right. Also, these are people who strictly follow rules. They are more static and more of managers. In terms of their skills, they're more managerial. For how leaders, they look at reforming, or they're more reformative. They're strategizing, they're strategic, they're process-driven. They focus on deciding how to do things right. Also, they change rules. They are very structured, and also they are more of a manager and a leader. So they are in between. For the why leader, the why leader is visionary and proactive. Is also purpose-driven. Is anchored on very strong values, principles, and culture. Is transformative, focus on deciding why things should be done right. And also this is a kind of a leader who creates rules, can be disruptive, interruptive, dynamic, and also adaptive. And this is truly a leader. So the strength here is the strength of a leader, as much as this kind of a leader can possess managerial skills. So this is just a climax of what we are looking at as we look at the learning loops. Think about the three categories of learning loops. Think about how it is important when it comes to issues of problem solving based on the examples that I've shared, and also in terms of leadership levels, how each of these leader thinks and how they look at what they are undertaking. So I'll give you a challenge. Just think about this as a group and look at where do you belong in terms of the three learning loops, and also in terms of the three levels of leaders. Where, as a person, where do you feel you are more inclined to? And as we discuss that, we can also look at possible ways of improving towards the Y leader. Because if you remember last time we said, the challenge we are having is that we're having less leaders in our environment, which also it is impacting us. Because if you look at the Y leader, what they do and the roles they play, they are very important for shaping the organization and also for really stretching people to think far and to think strategic. So if we have less Y leaders, then we really in a crisis. We find ourselves in a crisis because we think short term, and this may not be very healthy for our organization and also at a personal level to help us stretch and also plan effectively. So think about this as a group as we also discuss about the what came out of our book review, the key issues that were able to come out of our book review. So the book review, very briefly, under the three learning loops where each member belongs, and also the three levels of leaders, where do we feel each member is more strong, and probably how to work towards becoming the Y leaders. So we'll take just a few minutes to discuss that, 10 minutes as usual, and then we'll come back and engage on this. Okay, so let me create the group and then we just engage and come back and discuss. I think I'll create two groups. So we'll just have two people per group. Then we'll be able to discuss that. Good, so give me an indication if you're following me well, just a thumbs up to know we are flowing in together. Yeah, thank you, Mary Joanne. Yeah, thank you, Justus and Frank. Richard, I trust you can also follow well and you can hear me well.
Yes, I'm getting you very well.
Good, good. So,
I hear you well.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I've created the groups. I trust we can be able to join. So let me just open for joining. We see if we manage to join the groups. Frank, I think we have been having a challenge. I don't know if today we'll manage. Mr. Asava. If we don't manage to join the group, then I will see if we can leave you and one member on this group, on this main group, to have your discussion here. So let me just see how well we can manage this. So just try to join the groups. I've opened the groups. Try to join. So you can go ahead and join the group. Okay, okay. So I see we still have Mr. Frank in the main group and also Mr. Richard in the main group. Let me know if you can hear me well. Okay, so Mr. Asava, let me know if you can hear me from your side. Mr. Asava, can you hear me? So welcome back, everyone. I hope you had good discussions, and we'll just move straight to our deliberations as we share what came out from your discussion. So I can start with room 1, where we had Teacher Justus and Mary Joanne. So you can share your discussions and the key issues that you engaged on. Karibu.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm Justus. I will present on behalf of Group 1. I was with Mary, and we had a successful discussion. Yeah, can I continue?
Yes, you can continue.
Continue.
Okay. So we tackled 2 areas. That the first one was the book review, that is on chapter 10 and chapter 15, and possible ways of improving into becoming the wild leader. In the possible ways of improving to become the wild leader, we had to cross-check what these others, the what leaders and the how leaders are in a different way, giving advantage to this wild leader becoming one of the best one. And we said that one to become this wild leader, he must embrace open-mindedness. That is, being open views from out to the grassroots, and be able to know how best you can deliver out and lead others. Point number 2, the wild leader on leadership perspective. Be dynamic in a way that is able to incorporate what is on the trend and be able to lead as per today, but not as per the past. Also, to become the wild leader, one should be able to walk by faith in terms of believing on themselves. And in leadership they offer to others, they should be able to believe that with a purpose, and being there, they are there to deliver. Also, for one to become this wild leader, he also needs to be able to have the confidence, and then people is a part of competition, but there to lead. On the book review, that is on chapter 10 and chapter 15, so clearly that as a leader, one open-minded as to every point given out by anyone, either juniors or the seniors in the part of leadership, must be taken from all angles. It should not be in a way that a point given out is taken out only just because it comes from a junior. It should be understood and taken from all angles to improve leadership in the future. Thank you very much. That is the far we went. Group 1.
Thank you, Group 1. Open-mindedness, being a dynamic leader, and maybe even adaptive leader. Walk by faith, confidence, and we always say competency builds confidence. So thank you for those points. Group 2, can also proceed and share your experience. Yeah.
Sava, are you back? A technical problem, eh?
Okay, Mr. Asava, if you can hear, you can probably
proceed.
Yeah.
Okay, and let me proceed.
We seem to have a challenge from a server's connectivity. So maybe either Richard, I don't know if you can share just a summary of what you discussed. Richard, if you can hear me, I don't know if you're in a position to share the summary.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Karibu.
Yes, from the points I learned from chapter number 10, start there. Purpose-driven leaders, and a key to that is conversion, whereby ships so if you continue looking at chapter 10 down for double loop learning, whereby they are our leaders, they are people especially who are employed, and they have some protocols, some things to follow, something concerning the company to follow. At the same time, they should be our leaders. So you find that sometimes they can be leaders of why leaders, but at the same time, because of the regulations of the company, they become how leaders. And I'm thinking aloud on how double loop leaders, triple loop leaders, why leaders from our leaders, and things in terms of leaders, especially whereby we are balancing between leaders and managers, especially in a setup where the name managers is there. So a leader, if you look at the leader, especially transformational leader who is a wild leader, you find that they are unchained of change. They are looking at others stateless, others before them. But for managers, it's about their short term, it's about themselves, it's about them being acknowledged, being rewarded. That is why I think the writer is saying managers are short-sighted, because it's about they create a short goal so that either company can recommend them, company can acknowledge them, company can reward them, because for them it's company goals. It's not about vision, but visionally it's about long term. It's about something which it's afar they are looking at. So it's something that is what we are saying about faith driven than managers, because they are not looking at the status of something as of now, but something to come, years to come. So to me, why leaders, we're lacking them in the society, and I think it's our moderator is telling us that we need to have more leaders in the society, so that now society can go to the right direction, society can be visionary, because if we have these what and why and how leaders, I think society will be about achieving short-term goals and then we lose visionary. When the vision is lack, there's a perishing of society. I think we need more of why leaders than how and what leaders. So I think the group you gave me, it was about me, what I thought, and that is what I thought about the why and civil, because I was losing the other participant. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. That was quite extensive. And I think you have also raised some issues that can also require some more engagement, especially in terms of the environment, that you might be a why leader, but in an environment that requires you to operate as a what or a how leader. So I think that's important to think about our environment and the kind of setups that we operate from, because that also influences our leadership space. So that's something I think we can think about individually, and also if we get another opportunity, we can still engage more, just to be able to unpack what you have mentioned. Normally what happens, sometimes there are issues that come up in this class, in the master class, and we single them out, and then we organize some forums where we bring together all the Global Leadership Network members, and then we have a panel to discuss extensively the issues that are coming out from our discussions. So maybe that is one of the issues that I can pick up, so that if we organize a forum, we can get a panel just to discuss more what some of these issues that are coming up in this kind of discussions. Otherwise, thank you so much. And maybe we can just proceed and engage more on the next lesson. You have already mentioned a few, you have touched briefly on the next topic. So maybe as we discuss the next topic, we'll see what is coming up and what can inform our further discussions. Good. Otherwise, thank you so much. We appreciate. And I know some of you had a hiccup, some challenges, including myself, but we always manage to come back and continue. So let me just share my screen and allow the next facilitator, who is one of us. Mr. Mwangi is one of us. He graduated from Cohort 7 and has come very strongly, very passionately to be able to support this initiative. And today he'll just take us through leaders vis-a-vis managers. And as he shares his own experience, I'm sure this will also be something that we'll want more time to discuss, but we can do that on the chat even as he continues to take us through. Mr. Mwangi, please take it up from there.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, leaders.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this lesson. As the chairman has said, I'm an alumni in Cohort 7, and he has given me the opportunity to facilitate you in this lesson. So I am sure we'll move on together and share what it contains. So leaders vis-a-vis managers is our topic tonight. And maybe I would ask you a question which you can comment on the chat. Would it be any different if we said leaders versus managers? So just give a comparison versus leaders vis-a-vis managers and leaders versus managers. Would it have the same meaning? Maybe you can put that on the chat. The chairman will make a follow-up as we proceed on. Otherwise, thank you. Our topic is on the manual, page 30. So if you have your manual with you, we can move together to page 30. Hello, leaders. Are we following? Good evening, leaders. Are we following? Can you?
Yes, we are following.
Okay, Karibu sana. Thank you. Yeah, it is important to confirm that we are moving together. Eh? Sawa sawa. So before we get into the details of the subject, I would want to digress just a little bit and try to bring some meaning into this topic. And I want us to make reference to the IEBC. That is a commission in the Kenya government. That is the Boundaries Commission that is concerned with the elections and other matters within the Kenyan territory. And I want to make us understand leaders and managers, as it were, by referring to the IEBC Commission. Currently, it is in the limelight because of the forthcoming elections, and I'm sure each one of us is aware of what is happening. But why I want to use IEBC is simply because of the structure. We know the IEBC has 7 commissioners, and out of these 7 commissioners, one is a chairman. The current chairman is Wafula Chebukati, and currently they have 3 commissioners there are 3 commissioners in place. But as it were, we are going to talk of the 7 commissioners, him being the chairman. Now, the chairman is the leader of the commission in total. That is including the secretariat. But within the board of commissioners, he is the leader among the board of commissioners. And the other commissioners are the managers within that setup. And if I'm too fast, please let me know so that I can apply some speed governor. So at that level, the level of the commissioners, the chairman is the leader of other commissioners. So the other commissioners become the managers at that level. Their key role there is to lead the commission with regard to the parameters given in the Kenya Constitution. Their main role there is to set a vision, a strategic plan, that is the roadmap for the commission and how it should operate. So at that level, the chairman being the leader, the commissioners are the managers, and each commissioner has a department to look after. For example, the boundaries department, or for example, registration of voters. So at that level, the commissioner becomes a leader within that directorate. If a commissioner is in charge of registration of voters, so he's a leader at that level. So after that part of the commission, then we have the secretariat, which is headed by the CEO. Now, the CEO is the link between the secretariat staff and the board of commissioners. I hope we are following. Eh? Now, when we move from the commission, we come to the secretariat staff. Now, under the CEO, we have directors and we have managers, all down to the lowest level of the staff. We can call them the janitor. So in this case, between the commission and the secretariat, board of commissioners. So he becomes the manager of the secretariat. He becomes the manager of the commission. But with relation to the secretariat staff, he is the leader. I hope we are following, eh? So that when we come to the subject matter, we'll be able to see where the leader is and where the manager is and what it is all about that a leader does that a manager cannot do. So from the board of commissioners, we come to the secretariat staff. So the chairman and the commission and the CEO and the secretariat staff, that is a setup of the commission. So when the chairman is the leader, he leads the entire commission. But in relation to the duties that they do, he is a leader and the commissioners are the managers. When we come to the secretariat staff, the CEO, in relation to the commission, is a manager. And in relation to the secretariat staff, he is a leader. So you realize that at one point, a commissioner is a manager, and at another level, he is a leader. The CEO, at one point, he's a manager, and at another point, he becomes the leader. Why is that so? Now, the CEO is in charge of the directors and the other managers within the setup, all down to the janitor. So he becomes the leader in that, and with regard to the kind of duties that they do. One thing we must appreciate is that they are playing complementary roles. So what the vision of the commission is, the strategic plan. Now this plan is handed over to the CEO for implementation. So it is at this point of implementation that the CEO becomes the leader of the secretariat. Then the managers or the directors become the managers of that strategic plan. So that is briefly what I wanted us to understand, leaders vis-a-vis managers, meaning that on one hand, you can be a leader, and in another level, you can be a manager. So you are playing roles differently, one as a leader, the other one as a manager. Are we together up to there so that I don't lose you? Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
We are there.
Yes.
We are together.
Yes.
Yeah, nisiwe peke yangu kwa klase. Sawa sawa. So that is what I wanted us to, that's what I wanted us to appreciate as we go to the inner part of the subject, so that we'll appreciate. And in a way or the other, I'm trying to give you the difference between leaders vis-a-vis managers and leaders versus managers. So the first one is where a leader plays a role as a leader, and at the same time, he becomes a manager of the same environment. When we talk of leaders versus managers, we are comparing their duties, the duties as a leader and the duties as a manager separately, of which there could be no comparison. So let's proceed from there. We can see that, can we all see the screen?
I can see it.
Hello?
I can see it.
You can see the screen. So maybe briefly, what comes to your mind when you see those two pictorials? There is a mice, one at the top of a can, and there is another mice almost at the bottom of the can. What comes to mind? Maybe you can make a brief comment. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, what comes to mind when you look at the pictorial?
Yes, the second one has the mice inside the bottle.
Yes.
In other words, it is in charge of what is within the box. So
yes.
It has the access to the food within the bottle. But
okay.
the other one at the top, it is not in charge of what is within the bottle. So okay. It is like struggling. It's actually at the top of the bottle. So it does not have access to what is in the, within the bottle. So in other words, the one which is within the bottle, is kind of enjoying the resources that is there.
Okay.
While the other one does not. That is what I can see from this picture.
Thank you for your comments. Any other one with a different opinion or different view? As we move to the next slide, so that we get to understand better what it is all about. Any other comment? So Chairman, maybe you can proceed to the next slide. Yeah, these are the lessons to learn from that picture. Think with the end in mind, the big picture. Now, that is one and the same mice, or mouse for that matter. When the mouse found some food in the can, he started eating without thinking of his tomorrow. So when he's at the top of the can, his main objective is to eat the food. But as he continues to eat the food, he's sinking down to the bottle. That is narrow-mindedness. He does not realize that once the food is over, he will not be able to get out of the bottle or the can for that matter, but he will have satisfied. So that is a short-term thinking. Whereas we are supposed to be broad and have a big picture ahead of us so that we are able to move on as leaders. So this mice, he started at the top of the bottle eating, and he did not take any precaution that when he gets down there, he will not be able to come out of the bottle. So we are expected to be big thinkers, think of a big picture, what you would expect ahead there. So be aware of short-term pleasures that can lead to a long-term trap. So the short-term pleasure is that he will be satisfied, but he will find himself trapped within the can. So instant gratification versus delayed gratification. So if he was wise enough, he would have thought otherwise. Maybe knock down the can, eat the food as he looks ahead of him. But this time he's eating and not thinking of what to expect thereafter. So all you can see is not all there. Critical thinking. How critical do we take our thinking? How critically do we think of our issues? How critically do we subject certain topics or certain activities? So we are expected to be critical thinkers so that by the time we are making a decision, you'll have assessed all the avenues with regard to your leadership position. Think beyond self. So it's not about you. Leadership is not about you. This we have always been told. Leadership is about growing others. So creating healthy relationships is very key. So when you think of others, then you'll be able to build them as you move along. Now, single income and single identity, this is a crisis, the CC crisis. The CC crisis, so sometimes you may find yourself in a crisis, but how are you able to handle that crisis if you had not thought about it critically, so that you'll be able to decide, how do I get out of this situation to a better situation, or how did I get into this situation? Would I have avoided the situation? That is, I hope you have made your comments in the chat. The chairman will be able to review. The manager versus a leader. So here we are comparing the differences that make a leader, and that which makes a manager. So the first example is that of a leader. So we can see the leader ahead of the team, and they are working together. You see the cord or the chain for that matter. They are chained together, meaning that their hands are tied together to work together, and the load becomes but he's there to give instructions. So he may not be in control of the whole setup that the workers are going through, because he's not we are getting from here. So managers light a fire under people, leaders light a fire in people. So when a leader lights a fire in people, so that means he's inspiring them. Is that level of inspiration. Now, when a manager is lighting, like a referee, not a referee, but what do you call them? The coaches. When the coach is coaching his team, he tells them what to do, but he's not of the doing. So when the ball is being kicked, he's not kicking, but he's controlling. So leaders are encouraged to light fire inside the people. That is lighting up the spirit of the leaders that are and is willing to pay the price to bring that future to reality. So leaders are expected to forego so many things so that they are able to grow up those who are behind him. So if you are, if somebody is following you, the best is to make sure that he's catching up with you, and you are giving him all that is within your possession, so that you are able to make him grow. So the major differences between a manager and a leader, and we have seen that leadership and management are complementary. So it means that what a leader is doing and what a manager is doing. So leadership and management are distinctive and complementary systems of action with unique functions and characteristics. Now, like as I gave you the example of the IEBC, the commission, the board of commission has a distinctive nature of duty. That is creating the vision and drawing the strategic plan. Now, when that plan is given to the secretariat staff, then the complementary role comes into place. So the functions are distinctive with their own characteristics, but at some point they will come together so that the commission becomes cohesive in its leadership and its performances. The challenge is to balance strong leadership and strong management to complement each other. So a strong commission and a strong secretariat, they will be able to work together and give the product of that service. Both leadership and management involve communicating, problem solving, and decision making at different degrees. At any level, communication is very critical. The chairman of the commission cannot communicate to the commissioners alone without disseminating that information to the secretariat staff so that there is that flow. Problem solving and decision making at the different degrees or different levels at the secretariat level, but at these two decisions must come to a point whereby they are sharing those views. So communication is critical, problem solving is critical, decision making is critical in leadership. A manager sees things as they are. A manager, for example, the CEO of the commission, he would see things as they are at that particular moment of time. But the commission is supposed to see the things as they should be in the future. In their strategic plan, they have a 5-year strategic plan, which was launched the other day. And the futuristic view of the commission is to achieve all those things that have been laid in their strategic plan by the end of the 5th year. We continue. The comparisons are there, and you can see very clearly between the management and the leadership. Management does the planning, the organizing, the staffing, the coordinating, and the controlling. Leadership, there is the influencing, the motivating, inspiring, creating, and mentoring. But in between, we see the element of communication, the element of problem solving, and the element of decision making, meaning that no leader can work in isolation when he has a manager. So they have to keep sharing, and they have to keep communicating. They have to keep giving reports, making reviews, and that kind of a thing. So when a manager is managing the environment on the ground, he has to give feedback to the commission, and the commission will make a review so that a decision can be made either to improve or to do what it takes so that the service can be improved for the better. So between the leadership, the management, and the leadership, those 3 elements are complementary. So when you are influencing, you must involve the manager. Then we continue on. There are some of these distinctions of leadership and management by Joe Miller. He made a critical review of these comparisons. And number 1, he's saying management is generally seen to involve overseeing day-to-day operations, accomplishing goals, and achieving objectives. So the CEO of the commission has a strategic plan. And from this strategic plan, there are goals and objectives to be achieved. And that is the work of the manager. So the manager is doing the day-to-day activities to make sure that the strategic plan goals have been achieved. Leadership spans for a wider remit that includes defining a strategy, vision, influencing, and inspiring others. So just like I said, so the work of the commission is to ensure that the secretariat staff are doing what it takes to fulfill the vision and the strategy by influencing the workers, inspiring the workers, those are down there, the directors, the managers, up to the janitor, so that they of the whereas you'll find somebody saying, I am the boss here. That is not the way to do it. So he's possessing that authority. But how do you work with that authority? That's why we are being told the purpose of a leader is to influence interpersonal relationships within the working force so that you are able to deliver the strategic plan that is given to you. Managers are inclined to control while leaders inspire trust. So managers normally, a leader would inspire trust. A leader would come and encourage you as much as you are taking control or establishing systems, cheering you up. That is so to speak. The leader will keep cheering you so that you are able to move on. Managers focus on execution while leaders focus on developing and empowering others. So execution, it means if the strategic plan is telling you to register, your work is only to register, but you are not going out there to find out why are those the others not registering. Those who are not registering, what would be their problems? And that is now the work of the leader. He develops systems that would reach out to people, to empower people, to educate people so that they may be educated and come forward and get the reason to register as a voter. I'm making reference to the IEBC. So the work of the manager here would be to register voters, but he's only registering those who have come forward, but the others who are out there. So the leader would now develop a strategy to reach out to those who are not coming forward to register. Managers roll out tasks while leaders share a vision that is motivating and meaningful. It is the same thing up there, because it is a task you have been given and you roll out that task, but you may not be able to share the essence of that task, but the leader will make you understand why that task is there. Managers administer while leaders innovate. Managers replicate while leaders create. Managers focus on systems and procedures while leaders focus on people. Managers rely on controls while leaders inspire trust. Managers have a short-range view while leaders focus on a long-range perspective. So as you move on, you'll see the kind of differences that are there between a manager and a leader, and still you'll see the areas where a manager and a leader must come together so that they are able to push on the vision of the commission. Like here, number 11 saying managers have a short range of view because he's only doing what is expected of him or what he has been asked to do. But the leader will focus on the greater picture of the organization. Managers accept and maintain the status quo while leaders challenge status quo. Status quo means as is where is. But the leader will question that, why as is where is? That is the status quo. So the manager will try to find out, why should it be the case? Why can't we move from point A to point B? That is the challenge. A leader will always try to follow up and see why things cannot change and make them change. Managers do things right, while leaders do the right thing. Maybe many times we may not be able to differentiate these two terms. Doing things right and doing the right things is totally different. Does the things right. If it's to debit an account, that is what he does. If it's to credit an account, that is what he does. But a leader will find out first, why am I debiting this account and why am I crediting this account? So that before he acts, he will be doing the right thing. So let us be guided when we are doing what we are supposed to do. If you are a manager, before you do, find out why you are doing it. And we continue on to see many different comparisons, leading and managing, leadership and management. Now, if we think of the first one, where we have leading, it's about vision and strategy, creating value, influence and inspiration, have followers, leading people, people focused, etc., etc. Now, when you come to managing, you will see there is a policies and procedures, counting value, power and control, have subordinates, manage the work, his work focused, he's an authoritarian, that kind of thing. In between, they have a common thing to achieve, to accomplish a goal and to explain the vision of the organization so that we are able to move as a team, motivating people, mobilizing resources. That is the common area of the two sets of the leader and the manager. Leadership is focusing on goals, selling their ideas, taking the risks, encouraging those who you are working with, go against the grain, that is motivate, break the rules, inspire trust, foster ideas. That is leadership. When you come to management, focus on tasks, tell it, minimize risks, instruct, go with the flow, approve, follow the rules, expect control, assign tasks. But at the middle there, they have a middle point where they meet, accomplishing a goal to mobilize resources and to explain the vision. So, so irrespective of whether you are in leadership or management, there is a common thing that you want to achieve because both of you are part of the organization. I want to believe some of you leaders are working elsewhere and this kind of setup is there within that arrangement. Yes, we continue. In summary form, we can see the leader and the manager. And a leader is about change. A leader is about leading people. A leader has a wider vision, long term. A leader has a personal charisma. I think in the previous whatever we talked about being knowing yourself and I'm muted. Sorry, I got muted. I don't know at which point, but sorry for that. So we are making a summary of the leadership. That is the leader and the manager. Leader is about change, leading people, a long-term vision, personal charisma. He has a passion. He's striving to lead. He's striving to achieve, taking risks and all that. When on the other side, manager is about stability, is about managing work, his short-term achievements, objectives. He works within the objectives. He has a formal authority. He takes control of the area, that the environment where he is. And then he's action-oriented, minimizes risks, establishes truth. When on the other side, we have managers versus leaders. Manager focuses on things, that is doing things right. Planning, organizing, directing, controlling, and following the rules. That if the rule tells you debit this account, you simply debit without questioning. On the other hand, where we see the leader, a leader focuses on people because his main role is to grow the people. His role is to do the right things. That is questioning an action before taking an action. His other role is to inspire, to influence, to motivate, to build trust and shaping entities. So as a leader, wherever you are, you should be able to focus on people to grow, to make them grow, inspire them, motivate them, build the institution where you are, building the trust in people so that none of us is left behind, so that we are able to move on together. If I'm too fast, I said I can apply some governor. So here we need to identify, these are leadership challenge, and this is more of a personal than a class work. At this point, you as a leader, you need to take a leadership challenge. And this challenge is that area which you view as a leader, you are weak in. And you may need to make an improvement, or probably you are strong in it and you could make a recommendation. Then the other hand is when you are a manager, you could have some weak areas that you may need to improve on. So how do you manage situations that are beyond you? How do you manage situations that are under your control, or the people who are under your control? So this is a leadership challenge which we are requested to take, each one of us. You identify the qualities that you may commit to improve on. Now, when you talk of improving on, it means you are weak in that quality. So you should be able to make an improvement on it. As a manager, we know the quality of a manager, and probably you are weak in a certain quality. How much would you wish to improve on it? That kind of thing. So this is a challenge that we are going to take home, and maybe before the end of the session, the chairman will give us an opportunity to share briefly. But the challenge is personal to yourself. Yes, I am a leader at my place of work, or I'm a leader at my business. Which area am I weak in and I need to improve on? Which area am I strong and I want to make better? So that is a challenge that you will take home. And maybe I will stop there so that we can get the views from the chairman with regard to what we have gone through, and probably make comments so that we are able to proceed on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Karibu.
Wow, thank you, Mr. Mwangi. That was precise, to the point, and very practical. So let's appreciate Mr. Mwangi in your own style for the great work. We appreciate. Yeah. Thank you. So
thank you all.
Thank you too. So are you a manager or are you a leader? Are you inclined more to a manager or are you inclined more to a leader? I think that will be our concluding comments. Feel free to share, because we are talking about self-awareness. And as we work on self-awareness, then I'll be able to know the qualities of both. And we have said very importantly, both of them are very, very important, and they complement. And that's why it's important to have a structure so that we are able to place everyone accordingly within the structure. So as we conclude, in your comment, feel free to just mention which side are you more inclined to. Is it on management? Is it on leadership? Based on maybe if you are in business, the kind of leadership or management you are offering as a leadership. If you are employed in that kind of a setup, if you are running your own venture, also in terms of what kind of management or leadership you are offering. So whatever leadership space, you can take it from whatever perspective, just to mention which side you are more inclined to. And again, I think once we take that, we'll close at that. So if you can unmute, share, that is good. If you can send on the chat, that's also okay. But let me take what I'm seeing on the chat first. From the chat, we can see Mr. Asava, you're saying manager transitioning to a leader. So you're more inclined to a manager transitioning to a leader. And it's good that we have looked at those, the comparison and the characteristics of both. So we can be able to know which area I need to work on. Just as you are saying, more of a leader than a manager. Wow. This is great. And this is the journey that we are all anticipating to take. So we appreciate that. And as we also enhance in terms of the qualities that we are more inclined to. I'll take a comment from Mary and also from Richard, either on the chat or just unmute and share as we bring this session to a close. So Richard and Mary, if you feel free to unmute and just comment, that's fine. But if you feel free also to just post on the chat, I'll take it and then we'll be able to close there. I can start with Richard. Oh, Richard, I have seen your comment. You are saying more of a leader than a manager. You are more visionary. Yeah, I think that's also good for awareness. That is important. And we have always said it's not about becoming the best, it's becoming better. So even if I'm a leader, there's always space of becoming a better leader. And thank you, Richard. Mary, if you can hear me, we can take a comment from you, and then we'll be able to close there. Yeah, otherwise we appreciate for the continued engagement. Our prayer is that we'll be able to deepen our self-awareness, self-knowledge, and see where we have some gaps, where we have some strength to strengthen, and where we have some gaps to probably address and see how to improve. And we trust that we're able to pick a few issues that we can apply. I've always insisted that in every session, remember our study method, the new knowledge, the areas that you can probably run with and even maybe train the people that you are working with, the knowledge that you can share around. It's very important so that as we walk through this journey, we're also able to walk with other people. And that way we can compound our change and also make change more easier, because it's very hard to walk alone, especially if you're driving change. We need to be able to work with other people so that we can be able to continue working together in this transformative journey. So finally, Mr. Mwangi, you are saying there is a room for continuous improvement at every level. So thank you so much, leaders. We are planning for a retreat, physical, where we can have a physical meeting. This will be on 14th of August 14th of August. We are targeting those cohorts that will be graduating, cohort 7, 8, 9, and 10. But we are also opening it up to other cohorts. For other cohorts, it will be voluntary. So we'll be welcoming you. Feel free to be able to register if you feel you can be able to join. We have another retreat that will be coming in next year in March. That is where we all meet as Global Leadership Network. So that is open to all of us. But for the 14th, we are inviting you to join. But the main focus will be in the cohorts that I've mentioned, since they'll be graduating. So I'll post that on the chat, and then we can be able to engage more. Otherwise, I will wish to post there. I hope we've been able to learn and add value. As Richard is saying, risk taker, but I need to improve on my personal charisma, conference, or the confidence to lead. So thank you so much. Unless there is a comment, unless there is an observation, I want we post there for today. Okay, so I think we can post there. So let's unmute.
Thank
and
you,
let me
Andy.
share. Yeah, is there any comment? Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity to be.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mwangi, too, for coming on board and facilitating the session quite well. We appreciate. So we can unmute and conclude with the words of grace. So we can unmute and share the words of grace together.
Grace
of our Lord
Jesus Christ, and the love of God,
and the love of God,
fellowship of the Holy Spirit,
and the fellowship of
Holy
the
Spirit
Holy Spirit
Yes, now.
be with us now
be with us
and
now
forevermore.
and forever.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen.